wiped the sweat from his forehead as he dragged another cargo container across the loading bay. The metal floor was cold under his boots, but his body was burning from the effort. The container was designed for species much stronger than humans, and every muscle in his arms screamed in protest. "Look at the weak struggle," a voice called out from above. Looked up to see his supervisor, watching from the control platform. The four arms were crossed over his massive chest, and his reptilian face showed something like amusement. "Perhaps we should get you a toy wagon, little human." The other dock workers laughed. They were with their insect-like bodies clicking in what passed for their laughter. There were massive, bear-like warriors who could lift 3 times what was struggling with. Not one of them offered to help. Kept his head down and kept pulling. He had learned in his 6 months on station that complaining only made things worse. Humans were considered the weakest species in this part of the galaxy. Everyone knew Earth was a soft world with low gravity and no real predators. Everyone knew humans were fragile and short-lived. Everyone knew they did not belong doing real work among the stars. He finally got the container to its destination and scanned it with his. Would check his work later and find something wrong with it, just like he always did. It did not matter how careful was. Being human meant being wrong. His voice boomed across the bay. "Get up here now." Climbed the stairs to the control platform, his legs still shaking from the effort of moving cargo. Towered over him, all 8 feet of scaled muscle and barely contained contempt. "A ship is coming to the station," said. His yellow eyes gleamed. "You will service it." The words hit like a physical blow. Around the platform, the other workers had gone silent. Everyone knew about They were the galaxy's apex predators, the species that had never lost a war. Their home world was so dangerous that visitors needed military-grade armor just to survive. They themselves were living weapons, 8 feet of claws, teeth, and armored scales. "Sir," I started. "You will service the ship, or you will be fired and blacklisted from every station in this sector," interrupted. "Those are your options, human." Felt his stomach turn cold. Being blacklisted meant going back to Earth, back to the overcrowded colonies where there were no jobs and no future. He had come to the stars to make something of himself. Going back would mean admitting defeat. "I understand, sir," said quietly. Smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Good. The ship arrives in 2 hours. Do try not to get eaten." The other workers laughed again as walked away. In the station's small human quarter found one of only 2 other humans on the station. She worked in the recycling systems, a job considered too dirty for most species. "I heard," she said when she saw his face. "You need to refuse. They are not like other species. They are hunters. They see everything as either predator or prey, and humans are definitely prey." "If I refuse, I lose everything," said. He sat down heavily on his bunk. "I cannot go back to Earth with nothing." Sat beside him. She was older, maybe 30, with tired eyes that had seen too much. "Better poor on Earth than dead in space." "Maybe I will be fine," said, trying to sound confident. "Maybe they will not even notice me." Laughed bitterly. "They notice everything. That is what makes them perfect hunters." 2 hours later, stood in the docking bay with his service equipment. His hands were shaking, but he forced himself to stand still. Around him, the bay had emptied, even had found reasons to be elsewhere. The ship came through the station's atmospheric shields with predatory grace. It was sleek and black, shaped like a hunting knife. The name on the hull read, "Silent Fang," in the common trade language. The ship settled onto its landing struts with barely a sound. Waited, his heart pounding so hard he could hear it in his ears. The cargo ramp lowered slowly, and a figure emerged from the darkness inside. It was massive. He stood over 8 feet tall, with obsidian black scales that seemed to absorb light. His eyes were amber with vertical slits like a cat's pupils. Muscles moved under his scales like steel cables. Scars covered his arms and chest, each one a mark of a successful hunt. The creature's head turned and those amber eyes locked onto. The went very still, the way a predator does when it spots prey. His instincts screamed at him to run. Every nerve in his body wanted to flee. But he thought about Earth, about the crowded colonies, about having nothing. He forced his legs to move forward. "I am here to service your ship, sir," said. His voice only shook a little. They did not respond. Instead, he began to circle slowly. Could hear the click of claws on metal. He could smell something sharp and wild like a predator's den. That was scenting the air, learning everything about him through smell. From the control platform could see and others watching. They expected him to die. They wanted him to die. It would prove they were right about humans being too weak for space. They completed his circle and stood in front of again. When he spoke, his voice was deep like thunder. "You fear me, small one, yet you approach. Why?" Swallowed hard. "It is my job, sir. Your ship needs servicing." They made a sound that was half growl, half laugh. It rumbled in his chest like distant thunder. Without another word, he turned and walked back up the ramp into his ship. Stood frozen for a long moment. Then he realized he was still alive. His legs almost gave out from relief. From the control platform, he heard a disappointed grunt. Over the next 3 days, serviced the Silent Fang. He checked the fuel lines, cleaned the atmospheric filters, and ran diagnostics on the ship systems. It was standard work, the kind he had done 100 times. But every day they emerged from his ship and watched. He never spoke. He never threatened. He just stood there with those amber eyes tracking every movement made. The other workers on the station began avoiding completely, even looked at him with something like pity. Everyone believed he was being marked, that there was deciding the best way to kill him. On the 3rd day, was finishing his work when he heard voices from the cantina. He walked over to find a crowd gathered around a trade prince named Vex. That was tall and covered in blue-black chitin armor. He was addressing the crowd in the loud, clicking voice of his species. "The human thinks he can work among real species," Vex was saying. "But we all know the truth. Humans are prey, weak, soft, they have no place here." The crowd murmured in agreement, felt his face burn with shame and anger. "I challenge the human to a trial of strength," Vex announced. "Let him prove he belongs here, or let him slink back to his soft little world." The crowd went quiet. Everyone turned to look at. A trial of strength was a traditional contest. The challenger had to survive in a zero-gravity combat sphere against automated defense drones. It was dangerous. People got hurt. Sometimes people died. Knew it was a setup. Vex would rig the drones to be more dangerous than allowed. If refused, he would lose all respect. If he accepted, he would probably be injured or killed. He thought about his choices. He thought about going home in shame. He thought about being mocked for the rest of his time on the station. "I accept," said. The crowd erupted in surprised chatter. Vex's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. "Tomorrow, then," Vex said, "we shall see what humans are really made of." As walked away, he passed the docking bay. They was standing outside his ship, watching. Their eyes met for a moment and could not read the expression on that alien face. He went to his quarters and tried to sleep, knowing tomorrow might be his last day alive. The combat sphere hung in the center of the station's arena like a massive glass bubble. Inside, there was no gravity, no up or down, just empty space and the weapons platforms that would spawn the defense drones. Floated at the center, wearing light armor and holding a training blade. His heart pounded in his chest. Around the sphere, it seemed like the entire station had come to watch. The viewing platforms were packed with every species imaginable. Could see in the front row, his reptilian face showing eager anticipation. Vex was there too, his mandibles clicking with confidence. Near the back, almost hidden in shadow, stood had learned his name from the docking records. The Relentless, a hunter with over 300 confirmed kills. The arena announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. The trial will consist of 3 waves. The contestant must survive for 5 minutes. Failure means disqualification and medical discharge. Took a deep breath. He had watched videos of past trials. Most species used their natural strength to smash through the drones quickly, could tear them apart with their massive arms, could dodge with their quick reflexes and strike with their 4 limbs, but humans had no such advantages. The first wave began. 3 drones emerged from the platforms, each armed with shock batons. They were basic models designed for training. In the videos had watched, most contestants destroyed them in seconds, but did not try to destroy them. Instead, he pushed off a wall and let himself drift. The drones came at him in a coordinated pattern but twisted his body and let them pass. In zero gravity, momentum was everything. The drones had to use thrusters to change direction, but could use the walls and the sphere's structure to bounce around. He was not stronger than the drones, but he could move in ways they could not predict. The shock batons crackled as they missed him again and again. His breathing was already getting heavy. Humans were not built for quick bursts of strength like other species, but they were built for something else. They were built to keep going. 1 minute passed. The crowd was quieter now. This was not what they had expected. The second wave began, and the first drones. 3 new drones appeared, these ones faster and armed with plasma cutters. The cutters could slice through metal. They could definitely slice through. He kicked off a wall hard, spinning in the zero gravity. The drones came at him from 3 directions, grabbed a piece of debris floating from a damaged first-wave drone and used it as a shield. The plasma cutter hit it and the debris melted, but it gave time to push off in another direction. His muscles were burning now, his lungs ached, but he kept moving. The drones were learning his patterns. They were adapting, realized he needed to adapt faster. He started watching not where the drones were, but where they were going to be. His human brain, designed for throwing spears at running animals, was good at predicting trajectories. He anticipated the next attack and was already moving before the drone struck. The plasma cutter missed by inches. 2 minutes down, 3 to go. On the viewing platform, leaned forward. His amber eyes were fixed on the human with an intensity that made others move away from him. The third wave began and his blood went cold. The drones that emerged were not training models. They were military-grade hunter-killers, the kind used in actual combat. Their plasma weapons were not set to stun. They were set to kill. The crowd gasped. This was illegal. Someone had sabotaged the trial. Looked at Vex and saw the satisfaction on his face. This was the plan all along. Kill the human and make it look like an accident. The first hunter-killer fired, pushed off hard, but the plasma bolt grazed his left arm. Pain exploded through him and the smell of burnt flesh filled his nose. His arm went numb. 2 more hunter-killers were circling now, looking for the kill shot. His vision started to blur. Blood was floating around him in small droplets. His arm was not working right. Every instinct told him to give up, to signal surrender, to end the pain. But something else rose up inside him, something that came from millions of years of human evolution. His ancestors had hunted mammoths with nothing but wooden spears. They had crossed frozen continents on foot. They had survived predators, diseases, and disasters that should have wiped them out. They had never given up. Was not going to give up either. He grabbed his training blade with his good hand and pushed off toward the nearest hunter-killer. The drone expected him to run away. All prey ran, but was not running. He threw the blade. Humans were the best throwers in the galaxy. Millions of years of hunting had given them incredible accuracy. The blade spun through the zero gravity and struck the hunter-killer's sensor cluster. The drone sparked and spun out of control. The crowd made a sound like a wave crashing. No one had expected that. Grabbed the damaged drone as it spun past him and used it as a weapon, slamming it into another hunter-killer. Both drones exploded in a shower of sparks and metal. His vision was dimming. Blood loss was making him dizzy, but there were only 30 seconds left. The last hunter-killer came at him from behind. Did not have time to turn. He did not have any weapons left. He just had his body and his will to survive. He pulled his legs up and kicked backward as hard as he could, using the drone's own momentum against it. The hunter-killer crashed into the sphere's wall and its circuits overloaded. The arena went silent. The timer hit 5 minutes. Had survived. He floated in the center of the sphere, bleeding and exhausted, barely conscious. The arena was completely quiet. No one moved. No one spoke. Then a sound broke the silence. It was a slow, rhythmic clicking, the clicking of approval. Was making the sound, his amber eyes fixed on. One by one, others joined. Even species that had mocked were clicking or making their own species sounds of respect. Medical teams rushed into the sphere to get out. As they pulled him through the airlock, he saw Vex leaving quickly, his mandibles clamped shut in fury. They took to the medical bay where a doctor named worked on his arm. There were plant-based species, known for their medical skill and gentle nature. "You are lucky," said as she sealed the wound. "A few more minutes and you would have lost this arm, maybe your life." "Did not feel lucky," said. His voice was weak. "Perhaps not, but you should feel proud. I have never seen anything like that. The way you kept going even after you were injured. Most species would have surrendered." "Could not surrender," said simply. "Had to keep going." Looked at him with her large, gentle eyes. Is that a human thing, this refusal to give up? Before could answer, the medical bay doors opened. The room went cold with fear. Every medical staff member froze. The Relentless stood in the doorway. There was even more intimidating up close. His scales seemed to drink in the light. His claws clicked on the floor as he walked. Everyone in the medical bay backed away but ignored them. He walked straight to his bed. In his clawed hand he held something. It was a small token carved from bone, with symbols etched into it. "I came to this station to hunt in the dead zones," said. His voice filled the room like thunder. "I expected to hunt alone, as I always have. But I have watched you, young Terran. I watched you approach my ship when others fled. I watched you face drones that should have killed you. I watched you refuse to surrender even when you were bleeding and broken." He placed the bone token on his chest. "You have the spirit of a hunter." Stared at him, not understanding. Continued, "The galaxy sees humans as weak, as prey, but I see something different. Your species hunted across your world for days, running prey until they could run no more. You survived ice ages and disasters. You reach for the stars with nothing but determination. You are not prey of Terra." The leaned closer, his amber eyes burning with intensity. "You are a hunter like me. Different methods, yes, but the same spirit. The spirit that refuses to die. The spirit that adapts and survives. We are the same, you and I." Gasped. The other medical staff looked shocked. "I go to hunt a void serpent in the dead zones," said. "It is the most dangerous hunt in this sector. Many who try do not return. I offer you a place at my side. Hunt with me. Be my brother." The room was so quiet that could hear his own heartbeat. In culture, hunting partners were more than friends. They were family. No non had ever been given this honor. It was unheard of, impossible. But was offering it anyway. Looked at the bone token on his chest. He thought about going back to loading cargo, to being mocked, to being seen as prey. He thought about Earth and its crowded colonies. Then he thought about the feeling he had in the combat sphere, the feeling of refusing to give up, the feeling of being more than what others believed. "I accept," said. His teeth showed in what might have been a smile. "Good, we leave in 3 days, rest, heal, then we hunt." As the left, the medical bay erupted in shocked whispers. The next morning woke to find his quarters full of packages. Someone had delivered supplies while he slept. He opened the first box and found hunting armor modified to fit a human body. The black scales gleamed in the light. A note was attached in the common trade language. A hunter needs proper equipment. Come to my ship when you are ready. His arm was still bandaged but had done good work. The pain was manageable. He dressed and made his way to the docking bay, carrying the armor. The bay was different now. Workers who had ignored him before nodded as he passed. Some even moved out of his way respectfully. The story of the trial had spread. More importantly, the story of his offer had spread. Everyone knew what it meant. Was at his control platform, and for the first time since had met him, the supervisor looked uncertain. Said, his forearms fidgeting. About the trial. The station security discovered the drones were tampered with. Vex has been arrested, I wanted to say. It does not matter anymore, said. He kept walking toward the silent Fang. Was waiting at the bottom of the ship's ramp. In the daylight, his scars were even more visible. Each one told a story of a hunt survived, a battle won. You heal quickly, observed. This is good. The dead zones will not wait for weakness. I am ready to learn, said. His eyes narrowed, studying him. Then he gestured toward the ship. Come, we have much to do. Inside the silent Fang, everything was designed for a predator. The corridors were wide enough for to move without restriction. The lighting was low, perfect for eyes that saw better in darkness. Weapons lined the walls, each one a masterpiece of killing efficiency. Led to a training room. Before we hunt together, you must understand the way. We do not hunt for sport. We do not hunt for glory. We hunt because it is what we are. Every hunt is sacred. Every kill is respected. He activated a holographic display showing various creatures. The Void Serpent is older than most civilizations. It feeds on reactor cores and can grow to over 200 meters in length. Its skin is nearly indestructible. Its bite can crush a starship hull. 15 hunting parties have tried to kill it. None succeeded. Why hunt something so dangerous? Asked. Looked at him with those amber eyes. Why did you not surrender in the combat sphere? When you were injured and bleeding, why did you continue? Thought about it. Because surrendering would mean I was what they all said I was. Weak, prey, I had to prove them wrong. That is not why, said. You continued because something inside you refused to give up. That is what we call the hunter's spirit. It is not about proving anything to others. It is about being true to yourself. He tapped the hologram and it shifted to show the Void Serpent. I hunt this creature because it is the ultimate test, because every time I see it in the records, something in me says yes. That is what makes us hunters, not our weapons, not our strength, the voice inside that says yes to the challenge. Over the next 2 days, taught the basics of hunting. He showed him how to move silently, how to read tracks in space debris, how to predict prey behavior. But more than that, he told stories. My first hunt, said as they practiced in the ship's cargo hold, I was young, arrogant. I thought my claws and teeth made me unstoppable. I tracked a Shrike beast on my home world. Do you know what a Shrike beast is? Shook his head. 6 legs, armored hide, venomous spines. They ambush from underground. Showed his arm where 3 long scars ran from elbow to shoulder. I learned that day that confidence without respect gets you killed. The beast nearly took my arm. I survived only because I finally listened to what my mentor had taught me, adapt or die. You had a mentor? Asked. All hunters do, the silent. She taught me that true hunting is not about power, it is about understanding. Understanding yourself, understanding your prey, understanding the world around you. Paused, looking at. She would have liked you. She always said the best hunters come from unexpected places. Fitted the armor piece by piece. It was lighter than he expected, and it moved with him naturally. On Earth, he said, my ancestors hunted with nothing like this. They had stone-tipped spears, wooden arrows. They hunted animals much bigger and stronger than they were. How? Asked, genuinely curious. They ran for hours. sometimes for days. The prey was faster, but humans could run longer. They would chase an animal until it was too tired to fight anymore. Then they would kill it. Was silent for a moment. Persistence hunting. I have read of this. Your species is unique in this ability. Most predators cannot sustain a chase beyond a few minutes. We sweat, explained. It keeps us cool. We can run in heat that would kill other hunters. Our legs are designed for long distances. We are not fast, but we never stop. Like in the combat sphere, said, you did not overpower the drones. You outlasted them. Yes, made the clicking sound of approval. This is why I offered you brotherhood. The galaxy sees humans as weak because you do not have claws or fangs. They do not understand that you have something better. You have endurance. You have adaptability. You have the refusal to quit. These things made your species the apex predator of Earth, just as strength and speed made my species the apex predator of our world. On the second evening, they sat in the ship's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Had brought out ceremonial drinks from his home world. The liquid was thick and smelled like smoke and spices. Tomorrow we depart, said. Once we enter the dead zones, there is no turning back. The void serpent will know we are coming. It will hunt us as we hunt it. Many who enter the dead zones do not return. I understand, said. Do you? Looked at him seriously. You could stay here. The station respects you now. You have proven yourself. You could have a good life. Thought about it, it was true. After the trial, everything had changed, had offered him a promotion. Other companies had sent recruitment messages. He could stay safe and comfortable. But when he thought about that life, something inside him said no. The same voice that had kept him moving in the combat sphere. The same voice that had brought his ancestors across oceans and continents. You said something yesterday, said. About the voice inside that says yes to the challenge. I hear that voice. It has been quiet my whole life, buried under the weight of everyone telling me what humans cannot do. But after the trial, after you called me a hunter, that voice is loud. It is saying yes. Raised his drink. Then tomorrow we hunt together. They drank and the liquid burned going down. Coughed and made a sound that might have been laughter. It grows on you, the said. That night could not sleep. He stood in his quarters, looking at the bone token had given him. The symbols carved into it were beautiful and deadly, just like the species that made them. He thought about his life before the station, growing up on Earth in an overcrowded colony where there were no opportunities, watching the stars at night and dreaming of something more, coming to with nothing but hope and determination. Everyone had told him he would fail. Humans were too weak for space work, too fragile, too soft. For months he had almost believed them. But the trial had changed something, not just in how others saw him, but in how he saw himself. He was not weak, he was different, and different could be just as good as strong. The door chimed, stood outside looking worried. I heard you are leaving tomorrow, she said. This is crazy. The dead zones are a death trap. That void serpent has killed dozens of hunters. I know, said. Then why go? You have proven yourself. You can stay here and be safe. Smiled. Because staying safe is not why I came to the stars. I came to be more than what everyone said I could be. Sees that in me. He sees what humans really are. Shook her head. You humans and your stubbornness. It will get you killed one day. Maybe, agreed. But it is also what kept us alive when everything else should have killed us. It is what makes us human. She hugged him tightly. Come back alive. Show them that humans belong out here. I will try, promised. In the morning, the silent Fang prepared to depart. Stood on the bridge in his armor, watching as the station fell away behind them. Was at the controls, his clawed hands moving with practiced ease. The dead zones are 3 days away, said. I will continue your training during the journey. By the time we arrive, you will know the hunting signs, the honor codes, and the ways of tracking in space. I am ready, said. Glanced at him. I believe you are, but know this. Once we engage the Void Serpent, there is no retreat. We kill it or it kills us. Are you prepared to die for this hunt? Thought about his ancestors facing mammoths with wooden spears. He thought about humans crossing frozen wastelands and stormy seas. He thought about the voice inside that said yes. I am prepared, he said. The silent Fang jumped to faster-than-light speed, and they left civilization behind. The dead zones were silent in a way that made skin crawl. Outside the silent Fang's windows, derelict ships floated like corpses in an endless graveyard. Some were ancient cargo haulers. Others were military vessels with blast holes through their hulls. All of them were empty, their crews long dead or disappeared. The Void Serpent has been hunting in this region for over a century, said as he piloted the ship through the debris field. It learns, it remembers. Every hunting party that came before has taught it something new. Studied the scanner displays. 3 days of training had taught him the basics of reading them, but this was different from practice. The dead zones interfered with most sensors. The scanner showed ghosts and shadows instead of clear readings. How do we find it? Asked. Claws tapped on the controls. We do not find it, we let it find us, but we choose the place where it will strike. That is the difference between prey and predator. Prey runs, predators choose their ground. He brought up a holographic map of the dead zones. There is a nebula cluster here. The serpent uses it as a hunting ground. Ships pass through for the rare metals. The serpent waits and strikes when their engines are active. It feeds on the reactor cores. So we go through the nebula. Yes, but we will be ready. The serpent expects fear. It expects prey to panic and try to escape. We will do neither. They spent the next several hours preparing, showed how to operate the ship's weapon systems. The technology was different from human designs, but the principles were similar. Point at target, fire, try not to miss. The serpent's scales are nearly impenetrable, explained. Most weapons bounce off, but it has weak points, the eyes, the mouth, the joints where its segments connect. Those are our targets. Practiced on the targeting simulator until his eyes burned. Watched in silence, occasionally offering corrections. This teaching method was simple. Show once. Let the student try, correct mistakes, repeat until perfect. You learn quickly, said after hit 15 simulated weak points in a row. Your hand-eye coordination is excellent. Is this common for humans? We evolved throwing things, said. Rocks, spears, anything we could use as a weapon. Our brains got very good at calculating trajectories. Useful skill for a hunter. They entered the nebula at reduced speed. The gas clouds glowed in shades of purple and green, beautiful and deadly. The interference made the scanners almost useless. Switched to manual piloting, relying on his predator's instincts. It is here, he said quietly. I can feel it. Felt it too. A pressure in the air. A sense of being watched. His human instincts, honed by millions of years of being both predator and prey, screamed danger. The attack came from below. The Void Serpent rose from behind a derelict freighter like a nightmare made real. It was massive, easily 200 meters long. Its body was segmented like an insect, covered in scales that seemed to shift between black and deep purple. Its head was triangular with 6 glowing eyes. Its mouth opened to show rows of teeth designed to tear through metal. Threw the silent Fang into a hard turn. The serpent's jaws snapped shut where they had been seconds before. The ship shook from the near miss. It is bigger than reports suggested, said. His voice was calm, but his claws were extended. This will be interesting. The serpent coiled around, impossibly fast for something so large. Fired the ship's weapons, but the bolts bounced off the scales just as he had predicted. The serpent's tail whipped around and caught the ship's port side. Alarms blared. Systems sparked. We cannot outrun it, said, and we cannot hurt it from inside the ship. We must engage it directly. You mean go outside? Asked. Yes, in our combat suits, on the hull, looked at him. This is not what you trained for. I will not think less of you if you stay inside where it is safe. Thought about safety, about staying behind while fought alone, about going back to the station and telling everyone he had been too afraid. Then he thought about his ancestors facing mammoths, about the voice inside that said yes. I am going with you, said. His teeth showed in a fierce grin. Good, let us hunt. They suited up in the airlock. The combat suits were full-body armor with their own air supplies and magnetic boots, moved in his with natural ease. Felt clumsy, but he had practiced enough to manage. The airlock opened to the void. Stars burned cold and distant. The serpent circled the silent fang like a shark circling wounded prey. Its 6 eyes glowed as it assessed this new situation. Activated his magnetic boots and walked onto the ship's hull. Followed. The dead zone stretched around them, vast and uncaring. One mistake, one slip, and they would drift away into nothing. The serpent struck again. This time was ready. He leaped from the hull, using small thrusters on his suit to intercept. His claws extended, each one coated in a rare metal designed to pierce armor. He slashed at the serpent's face, aiming for the eyes. The serpent twisted, and its claws scraped along scales instead. The sound was like metal on stone. The serpent's tail came around fast but was already moving, using his thrusters to dodge. Watched, trying to find his moment. He had weapons built into his suit's arms. Harpoons with explosive tips, designed for exactly this kind of hunt. But he needed a clear shot at a weak point. The serpent was learning. It kept its eyes protected, its mouth closed. It was using its body as a weapon, trying to crush against the ship's hull. Danced around the strikes, but each one came closer than the last. Then saw it. The serpent was focusing entirely on. It had dismissed the human as insignificant, not worth attention, just like everyone else had done. That was its mistake. Ran across the hull, timing his movements with the serpent's attacks. When it coiled to strike at again, was in position. He aimed for the joint where 2 segments connected, where the scales had to bend and flex. He fired all 3 harpoons at once. His human accuracy, honed by millions of years of throwing, did not fail him. All 3 harpoons struck the same joint. They embedded deep and then exploded. The serpent screamed. It was a sound that carried even through the vacuum, transmitted through vibrations in the metal and debris. Green blood sprayed from the wound. The creature thrashed and its coils slammed into the silent fang. More systems failed. But it was hurt now, truly hurt for the first time in perhaps decades. Saw his opening. He used his thrusters to launch himself at the serpent's head. This time when it tried to bite him, he did not dodge. He went straight into its mouth. Watched in horror as disappeared between those massive jaws. The serpent's mouth closed. For a moment, everything was still. Then the serpent's head exploded from within. Burst out through the top of its skull, covered in green blood and gore. His claws had found the brain. The serpent spasmed once, twice, and then went still. Its massive body began to drift, just another piece of debris in the dead zones. Drifted back to the hull, landing with practiced ease. He was breathing hard. Deep wounds covered his arms where teeth had pierced his suit, but he was alive. Rushed over, you are hurt. I am alive, thanks to you, looked at him. The joint shot, brilliant, you saw what I missed. The serpent was so focused on me that it ignored you. You used that. It underestimated me, said, just like everyone else. And that, said, is why humans are dangerous. You are underestimated. You are dismissed. And then you strike with precision and intelligence. Your ancestors hunted megafauna for the same reason. The prey never saw the humans as threats until it was too late. They returned to the ship. The damage was extensive but repairable, sealed his wounds while worked on the ship's systems. They worked in comfortable silence, the silence of partners who trusted each other. I must perform the bonding ritual now, said after his wounds were treated. By law, we have hunted together. We have bled together. We have killed together. You are my hunting brother now in truth and in tradition. He took out a ceremonial knife carved from bone. He cut his palm, letting dark blood well up. Then he offered the knife to. Understood, this was not symbolic, this was real. He took the knife and cut his own palm. The pain was sharp but clean. Pressed his palm to. Their blood mixed, human and red and dark. By blood and hunt, said in the formal words, by claw and courage you are my brother. No hunt alone, no death alone. We are pack. We are pack, repeated. When they separated their hands, marked forehead with 3 lines of mixed blood, the mark of a hunting brother. Now and forever, said. Anyone who sees this mark will know you have hunted with the. They will know you are not prey. They will know you are family. Looked at his hand, at the cut that would scar. He thought about how far he had come from the cargo handler everyone mocked. He thought about what his ancestors would think, seeing him here, bonded to the galaxy's apex predators. We should return to, said. The ship needs proper repairs, and the galaxy needs to know what happened here. As the silent Fang limped out of the dead zones, stood at the window watching the serpent's body fade into the distance. They had done what 15 other hunting parties could not. They had succeeded because they had worked together, because they had used both their strengths. And the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The silent Fang limped into station 5 days after entering the dead zones. News of their survival had preceded them. When a ship goes dark for more than 3 days in the dead zones, it is assumed destroyed, but had sent a signal as soon as they cleared the interference. 2 words, hunt successful. Those 2 words had spread through the station like fire. When the ship docked, every platform and walkway overlooking the bay was packed with onlookers. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species, all wanting to see if the impossible was true. The cargo ramp lowered, emerged first as was proper. His armor was damaged, but he walked with the confidence of a successful hunter. In his arms he carried proof of the kill. A scale from the void serpent, as large as a shield, still glowing faintly with the creature's bioluminescence. The crowd went silent, then emerged behind him. His human form was small compared to his massive frame, but he wore hunting armor and carried himself differently than before. On his forehead, visible to everyone, were 3 parallel scars, the mark of a hunting brother. The crowd erupted. Some species made sounds of approval, others just stared in disbelief. A human had gone into the dead zones with a hunter. A human had faced the legendary void serpent. A human had survived. More than that, a human had been marked as family by the galaxy's apex predators. Stood on the control platform, his 4 arms hanging limp. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. Next to him, other dock supervisors from different species looked equally stunned. Raised the serpent scale high. This is proof of our hunt, his voice boomed through the docking bay. For a century, the void serpent has killed hunters who dared challenge it. 15 hunting parties have tried and failed. Today, the serpent is dead. Today, I bring its trophy back to civilization. He turned to look at, and I did not do it alone. This human of Terra hunted at my side. He bled beside me. He struck the blow that turned the hunt. By law and tradition, he is my hunting brother. He is family. His eyes swept across the crowd. I have hunted on 100 worlds. I have tested myself against this galaxy's most dangerous prey. I tell you now, with all who hear as witnesses, Terrans are not weak. They are not prey. They are hunters who conquered their world not with claws or fangs, but with minds and hearts that refuse to surrender. He placed a clawed hand on shoulder. Mock them at your peril. Underestimate them at your own risk. The Terrans are among us now, and they will not be dismissed. The crowd erupted again, louder this time. Saw in the front row, tears streaming down her face. He saw the doctor, her gentle face showing joy. He saw species he did not even know, all looking at him not with contempt or pity but with respect. Over the next hours, everything changed. Station security arrived to document the kill and verify the trophy. When they confirmed the scale was genuine, the news spread through every communication channel. Within days, it would reach every corner of civilized space. The station master, a dignified named, personally invited into his offices. The journey there was different from any walk had taken on the station before. Workers moved aside respectfully. Some even bowed their heads as he passed. In the station master's office stood to greet them. The massive bear-like alien was twice size, but he offered a formal bow. The Relentless, of Terra, the station honors you both. Your hunt will be recorded in our archives as one of the greatest achievements of this generation. The honor is ours, said. Turn 2. I must apologize on behalf of the station. You were treated poorly during your time here. That treatment was based on ignorance and prejudice. I hope you can forgive us. Thought about the months of mockery, the dangerous work assignments, the constant dismissal. He thought about how angry he had been, how small he had felt. But he also thought about the trial, about seeing something in him others missed, about hunting the void serpent and proving what humans could do. I understand, said. You did not know, now you do, that is enough. Nodded respectfully. You are wise beyond your years. I have offers from many companies wanting to hire you, security firms, trading corporations, even military contractors. You could name your price and your position. That is generous, said, but I have already made my choice. He looked at, I am a hunter now. My brother and I have more hunts ahead of us. His teeth showed in a fierce grin. Well-spoken, brother. Later in the station's medical bay, checked both their injuries. His wounds were healing well, his physiology designed for rapid recovery. His palm was scarring exactly as it should. I still cannot believe it, said as she worked. You faced a void serpent and lived. You hunted with and became family. Do you understand what this means? Not just for you, but for all humans. I know, said quietly. Already there are reports coming in. Other stations are reconsidering their policies toward humans. Companies are actively recruiting from Earth. The perception is changing. She paused. You changed it, you and together. Visited that evening, bringing food from Earth. Real rice, real kimchi, things that tasted like home. They sat in his quarters, which had been moved to a better section of the station without him even asking. You are famous now, said. There are news articles about you across dozens of planets. They are calling you the first brother, the first human to bond with a. That is a strange title, said. Get used to it, smiled. You know what this means. More humans will come to the stations now. They will apply for jobs they never thought they could have. They will reach for the stars like you did. And when someone tells them humans are too weak, they will point to you and felt the weight of that. He had not set out to become a symbol. He had just wanted to survive, to prove he belonged. But somehow, his survival had become proof for an entire species. The next day, invited to the Silent Fang. The ship had been repaired, its systems upgraded by the best technicians on the station. Everything was ready for departure. Where will we go next? Asked. Brought up a star map. There are hunts across the galaxy. Some are small, simple prey for practice. Others are legendary, dangerous beyond measure. He pointed to a red sector. Here, the shadow peaks of Prime. A creature lives there that has killed 12 hunters over the past decade. It would be a worthy challenge. It sounds dangerous. All the best hunts are, looked at him. But you do not have to come, you have proven yourself already. You could stay here, live in comfort, be safe. Walked to the window. Outside he could see the station's busy docking bays, ships coming and going, traders and workers of 100 species. It was beautiful and alive and safe. But when he looked at it, that voice inside him, the one that said yes to challenges, was silent. When he looked at the star map, at the red sector where danger waited, the voice roared. "I am going with you," said. "We are pack, we hunt together." Made the clicking sound of approval. "Then we depart tomorrow, but first there is something we must do." They went to the station's main plaza, where a memorial wall honored those who had done great deeds, had requested a plaque be made. It was simple, carved from the same bone material as the token he had first given. The inscription read, "First Hunt Brother of Terra, who taught us that strength comes in many forms." "This will remain here," said, "long after we are gone, so that everyone who comes to this station will know what happened here, will know that a human refused to be prey, will know that the galaxy underestimated Terrans at their peril." Traced the letters with his fingers. He thought about the cargo handler he had been just weeks ago, about the young man who had come from Earth with nothing but hope, about all the humans who would come after him, who would see this plaque and know they too could reach for the impossible. "Thank you," he said for seeing me when no one else did." "You showed me what to see," replied. "Your ancestors hunted mammoths with wooden spears. They crossed frozen wastes and stormy seas. They survived extinctions and disasters, all because they refused to give up. That same spirit burns in you. I merely recognized it." That night the station held a feast in their honor. Species from across the galaxy came to pay respects. Warriors offered battle salutes. Traders brought gifts. Even the usually aloof attended to show their approval. Approached looking uncomfortable. "I was wrong about you, about all humans. I judged based on appearance and assumption. That was foolish." "It was," agreed. "But you can do better now. When the next human comes to this station looking for work, remember what you learned." "I will," promised. As the feast continued, found himself surrounded by other humans. Word had spread, and they had come from all over the station. Some were workers like he had been. Others were visiting merchants or scientists. All of them looked at him with hope in their eyes. "You did it," one said. "You showed them we are not weak." "You showed them we belong here," another added. Looked at their faces, young and old, hopeful and tired, all of them human, all of them dreaming of the stars. "I showed them one thing," said, "that we do not give up, that when the galaxy tells us we cannot, we prove them wrong, but I did not do it alone, saw past the prejudice. He gave me a chance. We succeeded together." He looked around at all of them. That is the lesson, not that humans are better than other species, but that we are different and different is valuable. We bring something unique to the galaxy, our endurance, our adaptability, our refusal to surrender. Those are our weapons, use them. The crowd was silent, absorbing his words. Then an older human, a woman with gray hair and engineer's calluses on her hands, spoke. "What you did, it changed things. I have worked on stations for 20 years, always in the background, always dismissed. Today, for the first time, a supervisor asked my opinion on a repair. Actually listened to my answer. That is because of you." Others nodded, sharing similar stories. Opportunities that had not existed before. Respect that had been. All of it changing because one young human had hunted with and survived. The next morning, the silent Fang prepared to depart. Stood in his quarters one last time, looking at the small space that had been his home. He packed his few belongings, including the original bone token had given him. "Came to see him off. Will you come back?" "Someday," said. "But there are many hunts ahead, many challenges waiting. I cannot stop now." "I know," she hugged him. "The galaxy is changing because of you. More humans are coming to the stations every day. They are braver now. They believe they belong. That is your legacy." "It is our legacy," corrected. "Every human who refused to give up. Everyone who kept reaching for the stars despite being told they were too weak. I am just the one who got lucky enough to meet." In the docking bay, a crowd had gathered again. Not as large as before, but significant. They wanted to see the silent Fang depart. wanted to see the hunter and his human brother leave for their next adventure. Was doing final checks on the ship. When he saw approach, he nodded. "Ready, brother." "Ready," confirmed. They boarded together. As the ship's engines powered up, looked out at station one last time, at the beings watching, at the memorial plaque gleaming in the distance, at the life he was leaving behind. He felt no regret, only anticipation. The silent Fang launched into the void, carrying two hunters bound by blood and respect. And a human, a partnership that should have been impossible but had become legendary. As they jumped to faster-than-light speed, spoke. "The shadow peaks await. The creature there is cunning and vicious. It will be our greatest challenge yet." Smiled. "Good, I am ready for a challenge." "That," said with approval, "is what makes you a true hunter. The galaxy is vast, brother, and we will hunt it together." The silent Fang disappeared into the stars, leaving station behind. But the story of what happened there would spread. The story of a young human who refused to be prey. The story of a who recognized a fellow hunter. The story of how humanity earned its place among the stars. Not through conquest, not through superior technology, but through the same spirit that had carried humans through ice ages and across oceans. Through endurance, adaptability, and the absolute refusal to surrender. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. It would not make that mistake again. And somewhere out in the vastness of space, two brothers hunted side by side, proving that strength comes in many forms, and that the bonds of respect and courage transcend all differences.